Hello folks, it is Sunday evening, November the 13th. We're going to do a market overview here because I really want to get to some mining stocks, but we want to look at the markets first. So here's gold in the monthly time frame. Very nice action in the precious metals this past week and actually the week before as well. As I've said multiple times, this is a continuation pattern. Call it a flag, call it a pennant. The key thing to make note of is that the flag marks the halfway point of the move. And so this is the pole, the flag pole, this is the flag, and then this is the continuation of this move based on the initial flagpole. So basically we're expecting a duplication of the initial move, the same size move once this move continues in the direction that it was headed when it went into this sideways consolidation. And so anyway, expectation from this pattern gives us a price target at 2,600, which is also a round number and is coincident with the median line of this Schiff pitchfork. And so anyway, monthly gold looking very nice. We've got a target at 2,600. Seasonally, the precious metals could rally into like the February time frame. So got a couple of months where it wouldn't be unreasonable to expect higher prices in the precious metals, and potentially make it all the way up to 2,600 by that time, which, that's only the next 3 months, basically 3.5 months. So that'd be a nice move. MACD remains in bull mode, which notice that it has stayed in bull mode throughout this consolidation pattern, however many months that is, well over a year. MACD has remained in bull mode, which suggests that the primary trend remains upwards. And so still in bull mode. We've got the histogram suggesting that momentum is turning back to the upside. Energy, based on stochastics, rising sharply off a very low level. And of course, got a very nice price bar building this month. A little bit of concern that this pattern had failed, with the dropping below this vertical support resistance level, and then also dropping below the first median line extension of this fork. But price is making up for that drop in spades so far this month. So anyway, looking real good in the monthly time frame. Sorry about the sound on this video. Turns out that my fancy microphone was actually on the fritz. It's a Rode Podcaster, it's about $240 mic. Got on the phone with Rode tech support. They were very helpful. They put a 10-year warranty on all of their products, and so I have shipped my microphone back to Rode for servicing or replacement. And so anyway, I have to bear with the sound on this video. Gold in the weekly time frame, very strong move in the past week. Price jumped all the way from the 10-week moving average up to this support resistance zone. We can see this is the start of the new week, the small red bar. This is price action starting out on the coming week. We've got overhead, we've got resistance at the 40-week moving average, which is coincident with a median line extension of this Schiff pitchfork. So reasonable to expect some resistance when we get up to that level. We've also got, it's about 1,800, so wouldn't be surprising if we get some round number resistance action going on there. And then we've also got this minor support resistance level right around that same 1,800. So anyway, probably going to see some reaction around 1,800. Stochastics energy has risen quite sharply. It's now up in the high energy level. Notice that we got a new buy signal in MACD 2 weeks ago. So MACD is in bear mode, but on a new buy signal. And so again, nice action in the precious metals. That's gold in the weekly time frame. In the daily time frame, we can see that gold is just stair-stepping higher. Been very nice action these past week. Notice on Friday we pushed up above resistance at the upper median line of this modified shift pitchfork, and now this little bitty doji, that's the action, that's the trading starting out tonight. So price continuing at the level it closed on Friday. MACD is back in full bull mode. Both indicator lines above the zero level of the indicator, indicating bull mode. Looking very nice there, and of course energy very elevated. So nice action in the daily, and again expectation that we'll see, don't have to, but wouldn't be surprising to see a reaction around the 1800 level, which is also going to correspond to the 200-day moving average. So we might see a bump into that level, do some sideways consolidation before pushing through. Doesn't have to happen. We could get another one of these $45 days and just push right through the 200-day moving average. So we'll see what price wants to do. Silver in the monthly time frame. Very nice action coming off of this support level. Notice that it's a horizontal support resistance level, and then also lower median line extension of this. I think that's a modified shift. Yes, modified shift pitchfork. MACD, I suspect that lower indicator, has dipped down into bear mode, but we've got one indicator line still in bull mode. Based on the histogram, it looks like momentum is definitely turning upwards, so we ought to see a new buy signal shortly. Well, no, we're in the monthly time frame, so it's going to take a little bit of time to get a new buy signal here, but energy rising nicely. So silver looking good in the monthly time frame. Resistance overhead at, we'll just call it 23, round number at 23. So maybe some resistance there at the 23 level. Silver in the weekly time frame has pushed up into and through the 40-week moving average. This little red bar is the start. This is the coming week's action. Looks like price has opened above the 40-week moving average, suggesting that it is finding support there. Of course, we've got an overhead support and resistance zone, mostly support. Notice that this level has provided support multiple times over the last 2 years, and only turned into resistance in May of 22. And so if price can push through that level, we ought to see it become support pretty quickly again, and fairly strong support. Here's silver in the daily time frame. Again, just real nice action in the precious metals. Price has pushed up through the 200-day moving average and appears to be finding support at that level. We've also got this horizontal support resistance level going back through, that's July of 2021. So more than a year of support from that level. And so we ought to see that level becoming acting as support again, along with the 200-day moving average. MACD full on bull mode, energy very elevated, and some nice volume in here as well in the past week or so. So anyway, real nice action in silver. Some notes. just so we've had two headwinds acting against the precious metals in recent months. Obviously, it's the U.S. dollar has been incredibly strong, and interest rates have been rising strongly. Now, I don't really expect either one of those trends to change. Obviously, we're getting pullback currently in both the U.S. dollar and interest rates, which is helping the precious metals rally. But I'm not giving up on the U.S. dollar heading higher, nor on interest rates heading higher. What we could be seeing is that basically the central banks have told the markets, or the markets have decided that the central banks are back into full-on risk mode. And of course, the equity markets are heading higher, which is another indicator that we're back into risk mode. And of course, the central banks never stopped printing. Although they were telling us that they were quantitative tightening, and they did let some stuff roll off their books, they've been printing new money all along. Congress has been passing, the Inflation Reduction Act of all the names, all the funny names you could name spending money to call something an Inflation Reduction Act, and then go spend money to accomplish that objective. But anyway, I don't want to rant. So anyway, those are the headwinds we've been seeing for the last couple of months. Obviously, getting a pullback in the dollar and interest rates, that's helping the metals rally. I suspect that this rally in the precious metals, that it's based on more than just a pullback in the dollar and interest rates. That this is real money, physical metal, exerting its strength. It's the only real money on planet Earth, and in my opinion, that's what we're seeing, is that real money is retaking its place in the financial markets. Franklin Sanders, in his emails recently, he's been talking about the tightness of the physical markets. He says it's the tightest he has seen in 42 years. Has never seen the physical markets behave the way they're currently behaving. Elevated premiums, extended time frames to get physical metal if you're going to buy it. And so when you have somebody like Franklin Sanders, who's been a precious metals dealer for more than 40 years, saying that this is the tightest he has seen the physical markets in that much time, that says something to me. And again, it indicates to me that the precious metals, there's more to this precious metals rally than just a pullback in the dollar and interest rates. And of course, I believe one of my biases, that this is part of that story, that the BRICS organization, the Shanghai Cooperative Organization, the SCO, and then the BRI, the Belt and Road Initiative, this is the real story. This is the fair world order, represents about 80 to 85% of the population of the planet. Basically, they are done with the US dollar. They're done with the games that the US hegemon has played for decades, 100 years even, if you want to go that far. One of the things, when you look at world history, or certainly when I look at world history through my biases, one of the things I see is the dominant world leader, the world hegemon, and of course it was the UK, Britain for 100 years or more. Last 100 years it's been the United States. So basically the way they build their wealth is by raping and pillaging the rest of the world. Well, the rest of the world is tired of that. Human beings don't like being raped and pillaged. And we're at an interesting juncture in history where the rest of the world doesn't have to tolerate it anymore. And again, this is just one guy, one crazy man from Texas stating his opinion. But I believe that part of what we're seeing in the precious metals is a re-exertion of gold as real money, which is part of the movement of the rest of the world towards a fair world order that no longer plays the Western game of ultra financialization of all markets, and not just financialization. It's the raping and the pillaging. It's the stealing the natural resources, getting favored deals, because if you don't give us favored deals, we're going to bomb you back to the Stone Age. Anyway, enough of me rambling on that. Second page of notes. Let's see. So Saudi Arabia has formally requested membership in the BRICS. And of course, this is a big story. Part of the Western world's financial games have been based on the petrodollar, which was established in 1973-74. Basically, it was the agreement from Saudi Arabia that they would only sell oil in the US dollar. When Saudi Arabia joins the BRICS, my expectation, and a lot of other analysts as well, is that Saudi Arabia is going to sell oil in whatever currency you want to buy it in. We'll sell it to you. It doesn't have to be the US dollar. And of course, that is a huge change to the world's financial order, tremendous ground-shaking change to the existing financial order of the world. One of a couple of recent things that kind of support this idea. So Biden before the midterms, Biden went to Saudi Arabia and said, oh please, can you increase production? If you flood the world with oil, it'll drop the price and I'll look good for the midterms. Well, not only did Saudi Arabia not do that, they quickly announced a 2 million barrel per day cut. So not only did they not increase production, they cut production by 2 million barrels per day. Then another significant event, just this past week, Xi Jinping, Chinese premier, traveled to Saudi Arabia to meet with MBS, anyway, he's the current leader of Saudi Arabia, MBS. China is becoming a major oil importer of Saudi Arabian oil, and the expectation is that Xi Jinping went to seal that deal with MBS. And just the fact that Xi Jinping is traveling is significant. This is only the second time he's left China basically before the pandemic started. Since that time, he was isolated in China. So he went to the Samarkand summit back in, I think that was in September, and now traveling to Saudi Arabia this past week. So, and expectation is that as part of this visit, Xi Jinping has told Saudi Arabia that at the next BRICS summit, Saudi Arabia will be offered formal membership in the BRICS nation. And so anyway, significant changes on the horizon. Because of the significance of this is the most significant challenge that the United States has faced as far as the US dollar being the reserve currency of the world. This is a significant change. and the U.S. is going to fight it tooth and nail. And one of the things we may see in 2023 is that this story, Saudi Arabia becoming a BRICS nation and selling oil in something other than the U.S. dollar, 2020, the news events, i.e. Ukraine, of 2022 will go back burner, and the new focus will be on the U.S. dollar fighting to remain the world's hegemon and maintain the world reserve status of the U.S. dollar. And so that's a positive in my mind, is that the U.S. may not have the option of doing both things at the same time. And given their choice between the Ukraine or remaining the world's reserve currency, I would expect that the primary fight will be reserve currency, which, maybe we stop funneling billions of dollars into into Ukraine, but who knows? So another news event the past week. So FTX, that was one of the main crypto exchanges. It has failed. Has widely been shown to be a Ponzi scheme. What's the guy's name? SBF, I think they call him. He's got a hyphenated last name, BF something. Anyway, widely shown that he was running a Ponzi scheme, basically printing up tokens and using them to start businesses, make business arrangements, etc. FTX tried to sell itself to Binance. Binance, within just 24 hours of looking at the books, found a $8 billion hole in the finances, and said, no, we're not going to buy FTX. Evidently, Binance is already under investigation by the SEC, so the last thing they needed was a failing Ponzi scheme as a purchase. And so anyway, the fallout from FTX failing will continue for a while. My understanding, FTX has declared bankruptcy, and in their bankruptcy filing named 130 other businesses that they have financial association with. And so expectation that FTX will take down a number of other players in the crypto space. There'll be margin calls, etc. Let's keep going with the charts. So the mining stocks, obviously, they're doing well as the precious metals rally. This is GDXJ in the monthly time frame. Got a very nice move happening this month, coming off of this support level. This is a slightly upward sloping channel that we've been watching for, I don't know, probably a year or more. And nice to see that this lower level has provided support. And we're getting a rise off of that level. Energy rising off a very low level. MACD is in bear mode still, but the histogram is suggesting that momentum is turning higher. In the weekly time frame, this GDXJ again, very nice action here in the weekly time frame. You see very large gap higher last week. That was a 11%. So 11% move higher last week. That's a very large gap. So very nice action, price action in the mining stocks. MACD turning up from a very oversold level, is very oversold. New buy signal from several weeks ago. And energy obviously very elevated. So nice action in the mining stocks in the weekly time frame. Here in the daily time frame, GDXJ again pushing up into this minor resistance level from this prior high and then just overhead from there, we have this horizontal support resistance zone. Notice that it's mostly support. We got some resistance here and then some recent resistance in the August 22 time frame, but mostly support. As price pushes up through the 200-day moving average, expectation would be to see both the 200-day moving average and this horizontal zone providing support. MACD is in bull mode. Looks like it's heading higher. Energy is very elevated. So nice action in the mining stocks in the daily time frame. US dollar monthly time frame, big drop. Basically ran into this 112 level, which was coincident with the upper median line extension of this shift pitchfork. Did a sideways month and then just rolled over hard in the past week or so, and has moved dramatically lower. MACD remains at the overbought level, still in bull mode, and energy is still elevated. So anyway, like I said, I have not given up on the dollar moving higher. In another video, we'll look at the basket of currencies that make up the US dollar and see, exactly where, we'll see which of the currencies are strong, which makes the US dollar weak currently. And of course, all of the currencies in the basket were very oversold, extremely oversold. So not surprising that at least some of them are bouncing and causing this weakness in the US dollar. Here we've got the dollar in a weekly time frame. Again, big move lower last week. Prices playing with support at this lower median line extension of this Andrews pitchfork. Just below that, we've got the 40-week moving average, which probably provides some support. MACD in bull mode on a sell signal. Energy just above the low end of the scale. So big significant move lower in the dollar. Here in the daily time frame, I didn't expect to see this level fail, so this was a surprise to me. Very, very strong move downwards in the US dollar. This little doji, the little green doji here, that's tonight's action. That's the market opening tonight. So looks like the dollar might play with support and resistance around that median line. Expectation is that we'll be down here at the 200-day moving average shortly, whether that happens this week or the next week. MACD in bear mode, heading lower, momentum strongly downwards, and energy very low. So obviously big move in the US dollar. I think this is the first time we've looked at the yield on the 1-year Treasury bill and have not had to adjust the size of this box. So we're actually getting a pullback in the 1-year Treasury bill. So, and of course, this is one of my favorite charts. When it moves vertically, I know that bad things are happening in the economy. So looks like we're getting a pause. Pause in the bad things. So, well, yeah, anyway, I guess that's a big matter of perspective there. So this is the yield on the 10-year Treasury note, daily time frame. Big move lower, punctured the 20-day moving average, and currently playing with support at the 50-day moving average, which is coincident with the lower median line of this shift pitchfork. One of the things I want to make sure you notice on this chart, this bar, Friday's bar, that is a wide-ranging price bar. So look at all of the price bars on this chart and notice that one is exceptionally larger than any of those other price bars. And so that's why we're able to call it a wide-ranging price bar. And when we see these wide-ranging price bars, that's another indication of momentum, elevated energy, basically, that energy is elevated, and in this case to the downside. And so again, a big move lower in the 10-year yield, which supports the idea that we're back into risk-on mode, which we're seeing in the precious metals and seeing in the equity markets as well. Here's the yield on the 30-year Treasury bond. We're in the weekly time frame. Now, the most interesting thing about this chart is that it is the same pattern that we looked at in the monthly gold chart. And so here's our flagpole. Here's our flag flying at half mast. And then when the price movement continued, it moved all the way up to the top of the second flagpoles. Basically this is a duplicate of the initial flagpole, and that's how we got that second target. And so this is just another indication that the pattern we looked at in the gold monthly chart is valid. Let's go back and look at that. So this is a valid pattern, and reasonable to expect a $2,600 target based on this continuation, the flag continuation pattern. There it is playing out in the 30-year Treasury bond. So back to interest rates. So significant pullback, finding support on the 10-week moving average. MACD remains in bull mode and energy is elevated. So again, I don't think that we've seen the end of higher interest rates. We're just seeing a pullback. 30-year fixed mortgage rates have dropped. They were pushing 8% last time we looked. I think it was a week ago. Last Sunday we looked at the markets, and this was almost 8%. So significant pullback in mortgage rates. Here's FTX in the daily time frame, and of course this is the FTX token, not the exchange itself. My understanding, like I said, is that FTX, the exchange, has filed for bankruptcy. These tokens, again, my understanding, they were printing these tokens, basically Ponzi scheme, backed by nothing, just printing tokens and using them to acquire assets, business interests, other crypto tokens, etc. Obviously that was a big week down. I'm not sure what the percentage is. Hasn't dropped to zero yet. My opinion, all of the crypto is worth zero and will ultimately reach that price. That all of the crypto will drop to zero, all in due time. So here's Bitcoin, just a lot of sideways action, just could not find a bid, and then is now tanking again. Daily time frame. So doesn't look like much on the chart, but that red bar was a 13% drop, and then that next red bar was another 13% drop. So in 2 days, Bitcoin lost 26% of its value. So it doesn't look like much on the chart, but trust me, if you were holding Bitcoin and you lost 26% in 2 days, you might be hating life. And some big sell volume. So this wasn't just a kind of tickling lower. This was a significant amount of selling in Bitcoin. MACD in bear mode, energy very low. So again, crypto is all headed to zero. So act appropriately. Take profits if you got them. Smoke them if you got them. if you were ever in the military, smoke them if you got them. I don't smoke anymore. Used to when I was in the military. Let's move into the equity markets. This is S&P 500. As I said, it looks like we're back in risk on mode. Big bar on Thursday, follow through on Friday, pushed through the upper median line extension of the shift pitchfork. Got the 200-day moving average just overhead. MACD is in bull mode on a new buy signal. Energy is very elevated. So reasonable to expect higher prices in the equity markets. Here in the weekly time frame, big bar last week pushing up towards the 40-week moving average. New buy signal in MACD, although MACD remains in bear mode. Energy rising sharply towards the elevated level. Here in the monthly time frame, we can see we got a stick save basically where the S&P 500 has bounced back out of bear mode. So it has been in and out of bear mode several times in 2022. Currently has bounced out of bear mode. MACD remains in bull mode, suggesting that the primary trend is up. MACD histogram suggesting that momentum is turning higher. Energy is elevated, or rising towards the mid-range. The Dow in the daily time frame, obviously more energetic than the SPX or NASDAQ, as we'll see in a moment, has pushed well above the 200-day moving average at this point. Has yet to push above this prior high. So we've still got a potential point of resistance from this prior high. What is that? 34.2, something like that. Might see some resistance in there. MACD in bull mode on a buy signal, energy very elevated. Dow in the weekly time frame has pushed above the 40-week moving average. You can see that we've got three big bars. So, movement higher off of this support level and a strong move. So, strong indication that we're back into risk on mode in the equity markets. Here's the Dow in the monthly. Dow dipped into bear mode back in September and October, but obviously has bounced out of that area and appears to be headed higher. MACD remains in bull mode on a sell signal currently, but momentum turning up. Energy is mid-range, a little bit above mid-range. NASDAQ in the daily time frame pushing up into resistance at the upper median line extension of this modified shift pitchfork. MACD on a buy signal in bear mode, energy very elevated, so reasonable to expect higher prices in the NASDAQ, although the carnage in the crypto space could hold the tech stocks back, but there seems to be a fairer correlation between the tech stocks and crypto. So the tech stocks may lag the Dow and SPX. Wouldn't be terribly surprising. But we've also got some indications in this price action of elevated energy, and I'm speaking specifically about this gap. So big gap higher, followed by two strong bars that closed near the high of their bar, and so we can see that price closed almost at the high of that bar and then almost at the high of that bar. So both of those are indications of elevated energy. So big gap, two powerful bars. So maybe we won't have the tech stocks being affected by the crypto. So we will see. NASDAQ in the weekly pushing up through the 10-week moving average. looks like the next target is the 40-week moving average, still on a sell signal. Well, I guess it's arguable. Looks like we might have just barely gotten a new buy signal in MACD. Energy is about mid-range. In the monthly time frame, we can see that NASDAQ was on the verge of dropping through this parabolic curve, and expectation, if that happened, would be a significant decline, a 15% or more decline. If we lose that level of support, obviously we got a stick save so far this month, appear to be headed higher, but still in bear market mode. Well over 20% correction. We're down here at, whatever that is, 28% below the peak. So MACD in bull mode, momentum turning higher, energy is low. Oil, based on Brent crude in the monthly time frame, appears to have bounced off this support resistance level, trying to head higher. Of course, we're still releasing oil out of the SPR, talking about how we can refill the strategic reserve. And of course, it's going to be expensive to refill, but that will probably happen now that the midterms are over. MACD in bull mode, but on a sell signal, and a recent sell signal. Energy about mid-range. That's it for the market update. I went longer than I expected to, but we had a fair amount to look at. Most significant is the rally in the precious metals. I want to look at some mining stocks, and so let me post this video, and hopefully I'll have energy to do a short video on some mining stocks. Talk to you soon, folks.